Thank you for sharing your insights with us. And we do have our CEO here next to me, and I think he wants to greet you as well.
Hello, Etan.
Hi, Ingolf.
So
Nice to see you again.
again, because my first question is, why did you join the network, Velocity Network Foundation, and how or what do you expect to value from this?
I think first of all, if you have seen what's in it, I think there's no question why we have joined. Second, we at Milch and Zucker believe that personal data belongs to a person and not to a job board or a social network or a business network. They should not be the owner of data. And the second, and that's something we are doing for quite a while, since 2003, we believe in the collaboration between vendors. We are also a member of the HR Open Standard Consortium since 2003 and very much used to work with other vendors in our industry. And therefore, there was no question to join, as we heard about the initiative. And I think it will be one of the futures in HR.
I would like to dive a bit deeper into this discussion. And if you have questions, dear participants, then please don't hesitate to ask them. So I think this is a dream, and you want to have or become this dream true. So sometimes I think that there is something holding you back. Could that be?
So the biggest challenge is no longer technology. The technology of Velocity is mature. Our network is already live. I think the biggest challenge, or really the almost only challenge now, is adoption. So this is really about how to reach a stage where this becomes mainstream. In the beginning of a network like this, the utility value is very, very low. So this is like a city where people have Uber applications, but there are no Uber drivers, right? Or you're on Facebook, but you're the only friend that you have that you're on Facebook. You have very little value of the network. And the biggest challenge in Velocity at this stage and using verifiable credentials is that we have a chicken, egg, and rooster problem. We need individuals to adopt this. We need issuers to issue, and we need inspectors or receivers of data to all want to consume this. And that's the biggest challenge of starting to trigger this and get this network up and running. That's where we see partners like Milch and Zucker as really critical to this, because it's the infrastructure providers, it's the tech providers who have access to many employers. Instead of going one organization by one to convince them to start utilizing this, when organizations like Milch and Zucker integrate the network into their products, that's when this becomes available to hundreds and thousands of organizations at once. And that's really important for driving the value. So what we need is partners that are integrating this, but then we need early adopters, organizations who see the future. And even though the initial utility value is low, that they'll be willing to go in and explore this with us, because we need those brave first organizations who understand that this is going to start slowly, but when it takes off, it's going to make a real difference for their business and for their candidates and employees.
Do you think that this is more an advantage for the candidates or for the companies?
I think really both. It's a win-win situation there, because there is data privacy for both sides. It's clear. You can use it to apply, you can use it to verify, and it will ease up the process of applying at the future.
But I think the biggest fear here in Germany is if we are talking about privacy and GDPR. So you do have another or a different mindset there in Israel. Please, are you able to competitive or to relate them?
Yeah, so one of the great things about blockchain and verifiable credentials is that it's privacy by design. So it's GDPR, people's dream. And every time we go to individuals who are responsible for compliance and privacy, and we present how verifiable credentials work, because it looks scary, but once you understand how it works, it's actually way past even the requirements of GDPR, because the information is not held anywhere but by the individual. And when the individual asks the source to actually erase that information or write the individuals have under GDPR, they still have a way to verify it, which is beautiful. Because today, if you have a past employer or a past organization or an education institution erases your data, there's no way for the world to verify it. Now you can actually ask for a copy of it as a verifiable credential, then ask the original source to get rid of it, and you have proof that will last with you and you control and you own for the rest of your life. And so from a privacy perspective, this is the future. And so obviously Europe is more ahead in terms of their requirements in privacy than most of the world. And this is even more ahead of where Europe is, and hopefully will drive the rest of the world to really transfer privacy to the individuals and ownership to the individuals.
How do you, I don't know, how do you feel the situation here, like being afraid of my private data and sharing my information?
I think it's more a legislation topic than it's a private topic. Many people just share stuff. When I think of my daughter, I think she shares some stuff on social networks, but it's regarding your credentials from a university, from college, your driver's license, your passport that is offered. Those are, I think, people are carefully doing this, and this will help to find or define a network that it's possible in the future. And I think it's also for the employer. It's very important to have those credentials. If we think of an open employee market in the future, and I hope we still have one, it will be much more important to certify and have the truth about that candidate.
Will it be dangerous for the career networks, which actually manage a large part of career data?
I don't know if it'll be dangerous. It'll be different. So I think this is going to impact the industry in many different ways. Some of them we can't even imagine yet. Obviously, as soon as we move to a truly self-sovereign model, the whole idea of owning data, that organizations are owning data and they're monetizing data of individuals, that's going to change in many ways. And so the business models of some of these networks and job boards and so on will have to change as a result of it. I don't necessarily think they're going to go away. I think that they were going to need to figure out a new way of creating value, because it won't be around monetizing the data of individuals. That is their right and their data. But on the other hand, providing intelligence, doing matching, and maybe that'll connect to the AI discussion after this, is where there's still a lot of need. The fact that an individual owns the data doesn't yet figure out all the solutions for matching, doesn't create all the opportunities in the market. So there are value for a lot of the services, but the way they work, the way they utilize data, and the way they monetize their business will have to change as this new technology emerges.
How will it change the application process?
So first of all, it'll be much faster and simpler. So individuals with a few clicks of a button will be able to apply, and instead of uploading a CV with 15 or 20 or 30 pieces of information, will actually be able to share a whole curated history of their skills and credentials, which could be 200 or 300 or 400 pieces of information. So it will be very, very different in the way interactions happen with machines, using artificial intelligence and so on for individuals to have transaction, and they will then have proof of what they've shared with who. Because one of the nice things about verifiable credentials is every time you share information from a verifiable credential wallet, it's actually a digital contract. So you're actually contracting to share this information for a certain amount of time, for a certain usage, and therefore from a privacy and control and governance perspective, you have your history. So it's ease of use for the candidate, simplicity, control, and a much richer way of looking at my whole self and everything I've done than a 1 or 2 page CV.
So is there something more like potentials in this omnifunctional CV?
Yes, so I think the whole concept of a CV will very much change. And let me explain. Today, a CV is written for a recruiter to read or a hiring manager to read. And what will a person read? A page and a half. You know, people won't spend a lot of time. They want to skim and find information. And in the end, in a CV, you'll find 15, 20, 25 pieces of facts, maybe. And we know those facts aren't always completely factful. When we move to a verifiable credential world, instead of writing a story as a CV, you're actually curating a set of facts. Everything you've learned, everything you've done, every skill you've created, every assessment you've passed. And now the communication of that is a much different way of looking at who I am in a much richer way. That's not possible. A recruiter is not going to read 200 or 300 pieces of information. But on the other hand, a machine using AI and machine learning actually loves more information, actually will want to receive a big fat set of information from an individual, knowing that these are factual, that they can be verified, and can consume that information to create a much better fit of that individual to an opportunity or to an organization. I think that's a completely different way of thinking about data and the application process and matching of individuals to jobs.
Is there more to add regarding to the visualization of the Internet of Careers?
No, I think I think that this is really we're right at the start of this, and this is exactly when we want to start triggering this and getting going and benefiting from this. This is an invitation to everyone here to learn more about it. Visit our website, hear more from Milch and Zucker about how they're integrating this, and come join us in deploying this.
I would like to ask a short question to our audience. So, liebe Zuschauerinnen und liebe Zuschauer, wir haben ja auch für euch noch eine Zwischenfrage. Glaubt ihr an ein Internet of Careers oder an einen omnifunktionalen Lebenslauf mit vertrauenswürdigen, unveränderbaren Karrieredaten würde eure HR-Abteilung zeitlich entlasten? So, do you believe that an Internet of Careers would relieve your HR department of time? So, what are you thinking?
Yes, it will. I think it's a question of trust, and this trust is already given. You don't have to prove if the CV is right, if that person really was at that college, if the driver's license is still valid, and all those kinds of things. It's completely wiped out, and I think it will save a lot of time.
Oh, yes, this is exactly what our audience is thinking. 100% is yes on the positive side. I think it would relieve our HR department of time, yes. So we don't have to convince
I'm
you.
Convinced too.
I'm sorry.
No, I said I'm convinced too. I'm happy that everyone else is.
So we do have another point, and this is artificial intelligence. So we would like to build a bridge between these two topics, and I do have two other very, very nice speakers here over there. So could you please explain in short sentences, is AI important for blockchain and for the next digitalization?
Absolutely. So blockchain is not intelligent. Blockchain is just another way of holding and communicating data. So in that sense, blockchain has nothing to do directly with AI. But, and I'm sure the panelists afterwards will relate to this as well, AI loves data. AI wants more and more data. The more data machines have, the more the intelligence can learn and create value. And in today's data world, we have a little bit of data, and it's not necessarily trusted. As I think we already agreed, in a verifiable credential world, we have a lot more data, and it's 100% trusted. And that is the connection to AI. So when AI without verifiable credentials has a lot of value, but AI running on verifiable credentials, it's like an engine on turbo. It just has a lot more to munch, a lot more to work on, and therefore can create even more value and better learning and better intelligence around the matching of individuals and information that became extracted. So blockchain itself is not AI, but AI, I think, will benefit extremely from the deployment and adoption of verifiable credentials.
Thank you, Etan, for your speech and everything, for your insights. It was a pleasure to talk with you. And
Goodbye.
Greetings to Israel. Und danke auch dir. Also wir haben ja auch gerade darüber gesprochen. KI, AI ist ein Turbo, kann der Engine sein. Und das würde mich jetzt auch zum nächsten Überleitungsprozess bringen. Aber du hast doch sicherlich auch eine Verbindung dazu.
Also die Verbindung ist tatsächlich Trust, glaube ich. Und vielleicht unterscheidet uns das auch so ein ganz bisschen hier in Europa vom Rest der Welt, dass wir uns bei AI und KI auch Gedanken um Trust machen, um Verminderung oder stärkere Verminderung von Biasen. Das unterscheidet uns, glaube ich, ein bisschen auch zu dem Thema China, was wir am Anfang hatten. Und wenn ich, wie Etan schon sagte, vertrauenswürdige Daten habe, mit denen ich dann nachher trainiere und dann auch eine Nachvollziehbarkeit habe auf der AI-Seite oder KI-Seite, dann, glaube ich, wird aus der ganzen Sache ein Schuh und wird uns auch wirklich voranbringen im Thema Recruiting und HR.
Gerade beim Thema Trust, ich glaube, wir müssen uns einfach da ein bisschen von lösen. Ich gebe meine Informationen nicht ab, sondern ich werde Herr und ich bin der Kontrollierer der Informationen.
Ich leihe die quasi aus über eine Zeit.
Absolut.
Ja.
Ich danke dir auch, dass du mit dabei warst und wir sehen uns ja gleich nochmal wieder zum Abschluss.